Recording is on.
Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix. I'll fix my audio, Darcy. Don't worry.
Wow, what a start. What a start. It's your boy Darcy, and there's nobody else on this call at all because they're not wearing a Marvel t-shirt after DC Fandome or anything. Anyways, over to Umar.
And this is Big Geek Umar being ironic with his choice of t-shirts. How y'all doing today?
We're doing good.
I was better before I saw that shirt.
I thought you said you liked the shirt.
Not today.
All right, Umar, you know the drill. What is on the agenda for today, even though I know and I'm so excited?
There is only one thing on the agenda today, and that is
that's right.
the DC Fandome discussion. Guys, we had a spectacular week of news, geeky news, being released all on one day, and then it was talked about for the last week. We're going to be talking about everything we can about the DC Fandome releases. We're talking about Justice League, Wonder Woman, Black Adams, some news about Static Shock, and last, but certainly not least, the Batman.
True.
Which is in its rightful place in terms of this discussion.
Absolutely.
Like, saving the best for last, Umar.
There are some thoughts that maybe we talk about the best thing first.
Nah, bro.
Nah, man. We got to keep the people around until you get to Batman. So stick around, okay?
Okay, so just jumping right into it. We got to see the trailer for the Justice League mini-series now, I guess you can call it, because it's like a 4-hour movie, which got broken up, we've been told that it's going to be broken up into 4 1-hour slots or episodes. And we got a trailer. It was. I'm going to open the floor to you, Darcy, because I know you're a big Justice League fan, or Justice League or Zack Snyder fan. So, what did you think of the Justice League information / trailer?
Yo, you're like, yeah, just a Zack Snyder fan. And Tag is just like, and I was going to say before you said that, I was going to say, I'm the most Zack Snyder fan out of all of us, and I'm not like necessarily a big giant Zack Snyder fan, but when you guys completely hate Zack Snyder and actually enjoy some of his content to some degree, is a huge difference. I'm excited by it. I think a lot of people said a lot of it looks similar, but there's also differences. The thing I'm really excited about is I'm really, really most excited to see Ray Fisher get that light of day in terms of Cyborg character having a heart in this. There's a lot of good scenes in there that I like, just a hint at them that looks really good. There's a lot of good stuff that looks good from the Flash. I've heard a lot of stuff because I've paid more attention to like the Snyder Cut over the years, and so there's a lot of stuff that was hinted at in regards to like the Cyborg and Flash scene that was done together was a reshoot, and the original was that Cyborg does it by himself. He's the one who digs up Superman solo, and that's going to play out differently. And you saw a clip of it in the new trailer where he was digging him up solo. There's supposed to be a lot of stuff with Cyborg struggling to get hold of his powers, and we see a clip there. It looks like his dad's going to sacrifice his life in pursuit of helping him, which is going to be a big piece. I think that like Aquaman will just play a little bit better in the sense that, like, I felt like in the original theatrical cut, it was just kind of like, oh, we're going to drown. Oh, look, he showed up. And I'm like, it was so coincidental. I didn't feel like there was any purpose for him to be there. It was just like, what, you sent a fish signal to get Aquaman? Like what happened? How did this occur? Right. Where I feel like we're going to get more that's going to happen there. I think we'll just get a better Batman. Right. We can get rid of like the bleeding line. Like,
oh my God. Yes.
Like, I know that, like, one, he's not using a single thing that came from Joss Whedon. Like, he said that very clearly. And on top of that, I think it's just going to be, it's just gonna be one of those things, right? It's just gonna be better because they're not gonna use it. I'm excited overall to see it. I just think there's gonna be a lot of good new stuff.
T?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what Darcy said, I definitely hope that they get rid of that. Yeah, I'm definitely bleeding line because they fucking did Batman so dirty in Justice League that I'm still healing from those wounds, man. Like when I watched it, I was just so disappointed because that warehouse scene from Batman v Superman pretty much solidified my opinion of Ben Affleck as Batman. They kind of ruined it a little bit with the whole when Wonder Woman shows up and he's like, "Oh, I thought she was with you." Like it felt a little out of place for a Batman line, but overall, I do like Ben Affleck as Batman, and I do hope that they make corrections and they make him more brooding, or at least keep that consistency that they were starting to develop with the Batman v Superman. I'm excited. I like the redesign, or rather the original design of Steppenwolf.
Yes. 100%.
You know, because I was digging it when we saw it in Batman v Superman, and that's the expectation that I had, and then Joss Whedon completely changed the look and made it look like fucking trash. So I wasn't happy with that. I like that they're bringing in the black suit, which is interesting. What else? Darkseid looks amazing. I really like how he looks. I know he's probably not going to play a huge role. I mean, they're trying to set him up, and I feel like I know where he's going to show up. Like obviously in the Batman Nightmare scene. Yeah. Probably another flashback of some point. And then there was I was reading up about the final battle between Steppenwolf and the Justice League, and when Steppenwolf gets sent back to Apocalypse to, you know, kind of face Darkseid, and then Darkseid's apparently supposed to decapitate him or something like that, or something along those lines, or whatever. That's what I read. I don't know if that's like 100% accurate, but I'm interested to see that. And I enjoyed the trailer. I want to see what was left on the editing table with Cyborg. Really curious to see where that arc goes, because I know, Darcy, you brought it up in the WhatsApp chat, where you were saying that you assume that what might have happened was that there were Ray Fisher stepped up to Joss Whedon, and obviously with the whole him having a big ego or whatever, purposely cut him out of the film, or cut a lot of his scenes out of the film as retaliation kind of thing. And it kind of seems that way, to be honest, because if he was originally supposed to be the heart of the Justice League and now he's like barely in it, it just felt kind of weird. But
yeah, I mean, there's a level that arguably with the new story that Joss thought was a better story to tell, probably taking the mix of considerations that the studio wanted stuff too, that, you know, Cyborg wasn't as needed, but I feel like he could have been used a little more than that. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're going to be like, well, we can't tell this and this and this because it's too confusing to the story that we're telling. It's just him and Aquaman are just like almost pointless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're getting like nothing going on. They're just like there to hit a few things at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a lot of stuff that we met. Like apparently Martian Manhunter was supposed to show up and make an appearance. So I'm excited to see that if they're still going with that concept. And then there's obviously some more scenes that they had left out from Flash when he saves Iris West. Yeah. So I'm interested to see that.
And something about him going into like the Speed Force.
Yeah.
Concept, maybe some multiverse. I don't know, to some degree. So
overall, I dug it. I'm excited. I can't wait for next year because it's gonna be DC's year for sure. So I'm waiting, and I'm saving up from now because it's gonna be a lot of money, man. A lot of money. We're gonna be at the movie theater every other week, it seems. So I'm ready for it.
I ain't mad.
No, not at all. Not at all. Umar.
For me, I would say that I enjoyed watching the trailer. I would say I'm a little bit more than mildly interested in seeing the miniseries.
That's a big step up.
Agreed. Don't get me wrong. Everyone knows I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder. I am interested in his cut. I can't. God, I hope it's better than the actual like movie we got. I wasn't a big fan of the music choice for the trailer. It kind of felt an odd choice for me, but I didn't have a strong feeling about it. I just was like, it's like a minor nitpick. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, he used
day,
it in. Apparently, he used the same song in Watchmen.
Watchmen. Yeah. That's kind of why I was like, okay, because with Watchmen, it made a little bit more sense because it was more designed this way. With Justice League, it's like, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a trailer.
Again, it's a trailer. Yeah. Like it's a small nitpick. I am also interested to see where they're going to do with Black Suit Superman. I'm while I hope they redeem our boy Batman T. I'm kind of hoping, for our buddy Matt's sake, that they don't in turn throw Superman under the bus again. Yeah. But I agree. I love the look of Steppenwolf from the original thing. I will say the brief image we had of Darkseid, which I'm assuming is from the Batman Nightmare, wasn't a huge fan of the design. I'm not saying I was against it. I'm just saying I was okay with it. I was underwhelmed, but I wasn't against it in any sense. I'm just like, okay. If you wanted to do Darkseid, at least it's not like some puff of smoke or I don't know, some other crap. Like we've gotten worse.
Yeah,
I'm okay with this.
Darkseid, I'm like 50-50 on his look. Like it's not my favorite. I wish he had more of like an actual, I don't want to say costume, but like it was more of like an armor kind of thing going on instead of that thing in his chest. Like it bugs me. It's kind of like looks like it's in his chest. But the thing for me is like it's still better than Doomsday.
Agreed.
So for me, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll accept it.
Like I think like we've been so utterly disappointed that like anything like we've hit rock bottom and now we're coming back up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and I think we're spoiled in the sense of like considering that Thanos was influenced by Darkseid, and we got Thanos, and Thanos looks great in the Marvel movies. That they set the caliber very high. Right? And there's a high expectation there in terms of the design, and so I can agree with that. I feel like I myself was a little underwhelmed by the look, but just the fact that we're getting Darkseid kind of is like
exactly and he's not a puff of smoke, and he doesn't look as bad as Doomsday, and like just as you say, like we've been given like the absolute best. We've also been given like the absolute bare minimum. So like
Steppenwolf.
Yeah. No, frankly,
that felt rushed. Like it was like,
oh god, yeah.
Because it's like it was lifeless. Like when people did comparisons of the Steppenwolf compared to Thanos, right, which is an unfair comparison. But the thing is like the Thanos doesn't look real in the perspective that looks like a being that we would believe exists in our world. It's that they put so much detail into parts of his face that when he emotes, you feel the emotion. With Steppenwolf, it was just like, eh.
It was watching like an old video game.
Yeah, and especially it just felt like these characters, like regardless if we love the aesthetic, they were flushed out because they had the appropriate time to flush them out and more time now. Whereas the other one was like, I felt like they had like 30 days.
Yeah. So I am interested in seeing this miniseries, and whether it's like on HBO. I think it's going to be released on HBO Max. So like, given our stages of COVID, if you guys want to, like, I say we all come together, like watch it together. I say let's do that. I promise I'll keep my sighing to a minimum.
Well, we're not going to be sitting beside you, so it doesn't really matter in that regard. But yeah, we'd appreciate it still.
Okay. So now let's move on to, because we've got a lot to cover in this. So moving on to the next set. What do you guys think of the Wonder Woman trailer?
It was good. It was the weakest for me of all of them. Like it was good in the sense that like it was a fine trailer. I overall like what's the villain's name? I always forget that character's name.
Cheetah,
right? Yeah.
Cheetah.
Yeah, sorry, you guys posted something at the same time. I thought maybe Tactix had a correction. So I like Cheetah overall. Someone made a comment in one of these reaction videos. It looks like cats in the face, and I'm like, oh, I can't lie. I can't lie.
Oh no!
And of course, like when he said it, it was like there was these 4 buddies who watch anime, right? And the fourth one is like, he's like, "Did you watch Cats?" They're like, "Yeah." You're like, "Oh my god, bad for you." He's like, "Yeah." I feel like it was like a girlfriend thing, but so overall, I like what the actress is doing. It overall was like it was good, and I'm gonna go see it. It was, I want to say, I don't. It's not. I want to say it's underwhelming, but it was like when I first saw it, it was the first one. And I was like, "Oh, looks good. I'm excited." And then everything else came out, and I was like, I forgot about it.
To be honest, like sorry to interject. I found that seeing as how we've already gotten a good trailer from Wonder Woman like way back in the past, I was already set for it. I didn't need another one. And since they didn't give any information at the panel, minus the fact that like Linda Carter showed up and was like, "Hey y'all," frankly, I found it to be I agree. I found it to be the most underwhelming, and also I felt it was the trailer that gave the most away.
Yeah, but I still feel like there's like some stuff that I don't know is coming, and I'm also maybe just not trying to pay as much attention to this one as other stuff. So,
yeah, T.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Umar. I feel like because we already got a really good trailer, that this one I was like, okay, well, I kind of get the gist. I've seen most of these clips already, with the exception of Cheetah, which I was hoping that they would actually show. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm kind of in the middle in terms of the design of Cheetah.
Yeah, now that you've said the cats thing, Darcy, I really hope that doesn't carry over to when I watch that movie.
Yeah, it's like I like the body, but it's got a cat face. You know?
But it's hard. It's like how do you do Cheetah accurately? You know what I mean? Like I could see the struggle there, right? You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like they are going to correct that based off of that whole Cats reference because of how poorly received Cats was. So they're like, oh fuck, we can't fuck this up, man.
Well, that's if that becomes a thing that people say a lot, right? Yeah. Before the movie comes out,
which is definitely going to be the case.
So I'm gonna make Wonder Woman so hard for us all to watch because I just had a funny thought go through my head. So we're gonna watch it, and then when she comes out and you hear like the first whatever sound she makes, I want you to think of one thought: Cat's Gone Wild.
Wow.
And you just like the rest of the movie, you're like, ah.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was a fine trailer. I agree. It's probably one of the weakest ones that we got from the panel or from the overall event. But that's not really necessarily a bad thing because everything that I feel we saw was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Okay. Well, on that note, moving on to the next thing is the Black Adam panel. I will say that I found Black Adam to be the least interesting of the DC fandom.
Well, yeah, because it's concept art, right? So I mean, they couldn't. They're not even shooting it yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they have. But the thing is, like, the information they gave about Black Adam, and also the way The Rock seems to be portraying him, like they're going for an anti-hero. Okay, but he's making it sound like he's like this. He's like a big hero that was misunderstood and was like, cursed for his misunderstanding. And I'm like, I don't know if The Rock is going to do this justice. And frankly, this movie doesn't sound great. Like the director and writers aren't exactly good.
I feel like I'm alone in this, but I just don't care for these solo villain movies. Like unless
I'm in complete agreement with you. I didn't like Joker. I didn't like Venom.
Yeah, like it's just like I feel like the only one
you didn't like Joker. Okay, go on. Just keep going.
I kind of
we'll have that.
I'm sort of on the side of Umar there, just because like I enjoyed the film, but it didn't feel like a Batman film to me, and I don't like that's not the Joker that I'm used to. Like, and I get that he's like in his early stages, and he's becoming his own kind of, version of the Joker. But I feel like if you're gonna I'd rather not see an origin of the Joker. I'd rather just him already be crazy and just, skip all that other like, the beginnings shit and just get right to the nitty gritty of it. I don't need to see an origin of all these villains.
I'll
don't care
say
about them.
Joker, like that movie really isn't supposed to be a comic movie, and yet it's a kind of a comic movie, but it's not really supposed to be. The thing I'll say is I enjoyed the film watching it as a film, not as a comic film.
Yes.
And it's definitely not a heavy rewatch for me. I mean, I don't people that are probably hardcore diehard fans, I don't think you can watch that on like every Saturday because unless you want to be depressed like every Saturday. But yeah.
Also, like as a film itself, like I had problems with the narrative. Like, let's leaving aside all comic book related stuff. Let's say this is a movie about a guy who's like a serial killer or something like that who decides to dress up as a clown, not even the Joker. I had some issues with the writing. Like there were times it felt like an incel member was writing that a film, and other times it seemed to glorify brutality, and it seemed to like it started in giving a positive commentary on like the social system in terms of dealing with people with mental health, and also dealing with like and how like society themselves respond to people with mental health and like on different levels. And I was like, okay, I can at least give them this. And then they did a complete U-turn at the end of it and was like, oh no, they're just bad people who like to kill people. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So just as a film itself, I had a problem with Joker. Don't get me wrong, Joaquin Phoenix did a damn good job acting. Like whatever he got, like he did a fantastic job. I would say like pacing wise and even directorial style. Yeah, it was done well. Cool. My problem was narrative and writing.
Yeah,
it wasn't that deep for me. I just I just wish we got more Batman. That's what I was craving the entire time. It was like,
yeah, I knew you were gonna get that going in. To circle back though on the Black Adam on what you guys were saying. Yeah, I felt like I was underwhelmed. It was cool concept art. I don't have a lot of feeling one way or the other in terms of like Umar was saying about the story or anything like that. But because I didn't care to look into it as much. But I just feel like show me a trailer and then let's talk. That's kind of how I feel. Like I'm just like give me something to go on. The only thing I appreciate is that they're just confirming that The Rock is still around. That's really all that was. It's like
I am very pleased with his enthusiasm towards the role. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like The Rock. I like his like push, but like the person who's writing it wrote like he did the Rampage movie with like that big monkey. He also did, I think, Maid of Honor or something like that. And I was just like, that's the one that they got to write Black Adam.
Yeah, there's a good chance we're going to get just like a big action film in some way. But I mean, Shazam kind of was that though. Like Shazam was not as strong.
Shazam was, I would say, like amongst the DC films, is among the better ones. Like I enjoyed it. Like granted, it wasn't true to the comics, and also like the character of Billy Batson in Shazam was supremely different than what the character's supposed to be. However, it was still enjoyable. There were a lot of like fun aspects to it, and they also seemed to like be creating a world for Black Adam to come into quite easily. And if I was just focusing on the concept art and also on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's enthusiasm, I would be like, okay, Black Adam might be good. But based on the information of who's writing and directing it, I'm like, this movie's going probably tanks. Hence why I have very little. Like I would say it's the least interesting piece of information or trailer or concept that I saw at the DC Fandom. However, our next topic, Static Shock, that made me happy.
It's about time.
Yep.
I've been waiting for this for so long, and when you said that to me, I was like, yo, this can't be real, man. Like when I saw the link, I was like, yo, because I honestly didn't think it was gonna happen. I was just like not enough people I felt watched the cartoon and really know who Static Shock is, and like unless you were like an avid fan of like the Justice League, where Static Shock was also he was part of the Justice League briefly. So I honestly was so surprised that they are actually going through with this, and I hope it actually comes to fruition. Like, because they're just
well,
yeah, that too.
I forget, was it live action or movie? Live action, right?
Live action.
Like a show, right?
No, I think it's a movie. I think it's an actual film.
Movie. That's what I was trying to get at. I forgot. I said live action, and I was like, hold up, I meant to say movie or television. Yeah, I mean, like I think Black Lightning probably opened the way a little for that. And obviously, if they're looking for Black representation, they're looking to certain heroes. Like, I feel like there's always an opportunity, and I think Marvel's been doing it a lot, and I think DC's taking a note in this book is that like you don't have to always get the tried and true most known characters. If a character has compelling story, a relevant story, he still has a very Static Shock has a very relevant story, and you can build you just gotta get the right casting and a good writer, and you can build that character up. Even if you just get the right casting and we get an all right movie, you could, like, from their perspective, from the studio's perspective, they can build that character up, right? Like, you can make somebody that nobody knows really popular if the character in itself is just compelling enough, right? And he's got a cool power and he's super relevant. So.
And like, honestly, I would say I am not against the fact that Black Panther, the success of Black Panther, probably pushed Warner Brothers to be like, we need to get on this. Like, yeah, we should be getting more films with Black people on the front and also behind the scenes. And I also like to respond to what Anthony Mackie was saying. It's like, if Black Panther is the only film where you have people like Black people in the behind the scenes, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, if Warner Brothers can at least start doing this and start with Static Shock, like they started the female-led one. They got Wonder Woman and it hit big. So much so that Marvel had to catch up to them, and it hasn't been successful because they haven't been able to get Black Widow out yet. So, but if we're getting a reverse now, where Static Shock is also kind of like, due to the popular aspect of Black Panther, that people are like, oh, hey, let's find someone. And it's like, oh, Static Shock, yeah, let's do that. Black Lightning seems to be doing well. I'm all for it. I agree with you. And because he is, especially now, given all the hell that's going in America right now, his story is possibly the most relatable. If they get a right writer and director, that could be it. It would be a beautiful dream to see Static Shock being the second movie to get like Oscar nomination related stuff.
The man's got high hopes.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see Static Shock. Like, I was like, no way.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, I want all the movies to get all the praise and they all be amazing. It's just like, we don't even have like anything besides it's going to go into development. And then Umar's like, Oscar. Like, little ahead yourself, bud. Like, we don't even know who's acting. Like, but I want to throw something out before we jump into Batman, because I realize we left this off the list, and I feel like it's also a segue into Batman. Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. What do y'all think about Suicide Squad?
With me, I enjoyed the trailer. I enjoyed finding out what's going on. But like, for me, I wasn't as big into it. Don't get me wrong. I'm really happy James Gunn is doing it, and he looks like he's doing it well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it kind of was like, yeah, he's doing it well, but we still don't know what's going on, and we still don't know what's happening. I actually, to be honest, I was more happy with the Suicide Squad game trailer.
Yeah. I mean, game trailer looks cool. I like the game trailer because it looks a lot like the Harley Quinn animated show, which is like one of the best shows ever done. And like, especially like King Shark, and somebody made a point that like they think like Taika Waititi is going to be King Shark in James Gunn's version, because he's an unnamed character and he tends to do voice acting. But someone was like
Mandalorian.
Yeah, and someone else is going to be like, oh, but we really hope it would be the actual guy who acted King Shark in the Harley. But it's like, it's more likely Taika Waititi, just based on the fact of what we know. For me, like, I hated the first Suicide Squad, and it pissed me off because I was really excited for David Ayer, or however you say his last name, and then it was chopped up by the studio, and basically they came in, slap chopped it, and turned it into garbage. And then so I'm excited. First of all, I still want an Ayer cut to be released of the original Suicide Squad. I just want to see it.
I think it's still happening. Yeah, I was surprised they didn't actually say anything about it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I want that to happen just so I can see it, and then I also want the new one. And I'm excited because it looks like it's going to be very much like what we want it to be. Tons of characters, tons of deaths, gory stuff all over the stuff. Like seeing the shot of like King Shark trying to eat somebody is like already telling me that like this is going to be a ride. And you know, I just want, if it comes out like a solid 7 and it's like a popcorn flick, you know, you just go in, you know, it's like the Fast and the Furious of the DC world. I am good. Like that's my goal. Fast and Furious DC world. If it's Guardians of the Galaxy the DC world, then like, you know what I'm saying? So Tactix.
The first one left too much of a bad taste in my mouth for me to really even care. So to be honest, I watched it and I was like, yeah, okay, this all looks cool, but I still need to see more, like a proper trailer to really be fully invested in this. Right now I'm just kind of like, like it's good. Like I said, like I enjoyed all the trailers that I saw from this event, but you know, it's down there with Wonder Woman for me in terms of like excitement factor. Based on the trailer, like I'm excited for Wonder Woman, don't get me wrong, but I mean the Suicide Squad, I was just like, it's interesting. But
all right, guys.
Yeah.
All right, we need to go to the main event because I can't wait any longer. The Batman trailer.
Here it is. I already see Tactix like rocking, just like
I'm just waiting for this my whole life.
Actually, that's not even an exaggeration. That's not even an exaggeration.
Oh man.
I will say that like I find it hilarious that in our last podcast I actually talked about how I was worried for this film because it had gone through such intense hell regarding like bringing it back up, right? Who's writing it? Who's in it? Like Ben Affleck was supposed to be part of it, then he left. He was supposed to be directing it, then he left. They got Matt Reeves, and it was supposed to be part of the DCU. Then it's like no longer part of the DCU. They got new writers, and it's like it like then they did Robert Pattinson, and everyone freaked the hell out. And I will admit, when I first heard it, I freely admit on live that I had a problem with that. I was like, really, the guy from Twilight?
Yeah, he went from vampire to bat. That's like the wrong way.
And like, don't get me wrong, I am aware that he is a capable actor. Those movies didn't do anything for him, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want Batman to be an experiment of breaking through like a typecast. This is Batman we're talking about.
Yeah, but he's got history behind him though. Like none of us really watched it, but he's got a long history between Twilight and here that I've here popping up. And I'm like, oh no, he didn't. He already broke that problem that you're worried about. He already broke that a while ago. We just didn't pay attention.
To be honest, I have watched some of his in the middle stuff, and I wasn't impressed. I'm like, he's trying too hard. He's still capable, but he's trying too hard. So I was like, guy, I get you're trying to get rid of the whole. I don't even know what his name was, Cullen or something. He was
Edward Cullen.
Edward Cullen, or something like that. So I was like, okay, I respect the fact you want to get out of this, but don't use Batman. I need a guy who's going to do this right. And then I saw him, and I'm not going to lie. When I saw the concept art for his costume, I will admit this is a nitpick that everyone said I was too stupid for, but I didn't like the fact that the bat's insignia didn't have ears. I was like, you're not gonna put ears on that bat? It's gonna be like a random like gun that he like. I know it's not a random gun, but like you're gonna have a gun just played out with like wings. You're not gonna put ears on it. You couldn't find like something to put like 2 ears on it. I was freaking out, and I was like, I have to trust in Matt Reeves, but I'm losing faith. And then that trailer came.
By the way, I have to say
I feel you, dog. I feel you.
When you said, and then I saw him, I'm like, man, this guy just turned into Bella? Like, damn.
Basically, when I saw him in that Batman outfit, I was like, I probably can relate the most to Bella.
Umar got pregnant on that, yo.
It's like, wow. I'm just done. Oh, man. You know what that is in his chest, though, right?
It's the gun that was killed his parents, yeah.
I think it's the metal from the gun, but when I look at them, it looks like 2 blades. Like it literally looks like 2 weapons he can go and grab from his chest at like a last resort. Like if you get knocked down, he could grab the blade from his chest. It's like looks like they're like
interesting.
It's like on there, like magnetized or something, or like locked in. But yeah, it probably is like the melted, but it looks like they're blades.
Yeah, and also like I love for crying out loud, they brought Nirvana back, and they made me love Nirvana all over again. And I was like, that is a brilliant use in the trailer. And I was like, wait, I know that song, and then like.
So good.
It just was done so well, and I was like, oh my god, I'm loving this even more. And James Gordon, like, holy crap, Jeffrey Wright, did you kill it? And you only spoke like 2 lines. And the costume reminded me a lot of like, but this now I'm going to the comic history. My problem was it looked too much like Zero Year. Or 0 Hour, sorry, and that was like a New 52 comic where it showed like Batman, he's first time Batman, and he's dealing with the Riddler, and like the Riddler's like taking over the Gotham, and I'm just like, God, I hope they're not doing 0 Hour, and they're not. What sold this movie for me was that it looked like Seven, but with Batman on the case.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, by the way, Colin Farrell is
unrecognizable.
I had to check to see if that was still him. Like, there are some people like, oh, no, it's not him. I'm like, oh, okay. So clearly they've only filmed 25% of the movie before COVID hit. So I'm like, clearly that was some other character. But like, I found out that it's been legitimately authenticated that was Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And I'm just like, ugh, like just, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna stop because I'll keep going. You guys, what do you guys think?
Tactix, you go first, man. You go first.
Yo, guy, when I saw this trailer, I tried to keep my expectations very low, but I was like, I feel like I'm going to love this trailer. And as soon as you hear the Scotch tape, just the, I was like, oh, I'm in already, guy. I'm in. I don't need to see anything else, man.
It's just that different, right in the trailer alone.
Yeah, and then you see Riddler, and just everything was so like even in just the aesthetics, the way everything is shot and it looks, it's got this weird aesthetic that worked for me. Like it's so crisp at times, and I'm just like beautifully done. And then like Umar, like what you were saying, how it has that Seven kind of vibe to it, but with like Batman, and there's like now they're bringing in the detective element to that, which we haven't really seen to its full capacity yet. Like like Dark Knight kind of did it a little bit, but you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty of it. So I was watching John Campea, and me and Darcy were talking about this the other day, where he had 2 nitpicks, right? And one of them was that the way Robert Pattinson looks. And I'll admit, when I first initially saw the trailer, I was a little taken back by the hair, the emo type of thing, right? But then I thought to myself, and I'm like, okay, but this is supposed to be like he's only like a year and a half in, right?
Yeah.
And he's still dealing with the trauma and the torment of witnessing his parents being killed. Like obviously, like upon first glance, you're like, this guy doesn't look like he owns like a Fortune 500 company kind of thing, right? But
yeah,
when you consider like all the stuff that he's been through, and the fact that he's still in his early stages of being Batman, and like Matt Reeves even stressed the importance of the fact that like they're trying to showcase the fact that he's not yet seasoned, right? So he's still making mistakes and whatnot. There was a shot in particular that felt a little off to me, but then going back to that concept that I just mentioned, the shot was it's right after the explosion happens and he gets thrown back, and it cuts to him in the precinct, and he's surrounded by all of the police officers, and he's going all crazy, and I'm like, why is he like that? Just felt a little weird to me, like where it's like he's losing his temper and like but then I was just, oh, okay, but he's still learning, he's still making these mistakes, he's still he still doesn't have that control yet. And then we see that lack of control in that scene where he just fucking obliterates that guy. It's like, even after the guy's down, it's like he's already dead. So it was crazy, man. So I loved all of it. I love how everyone looks. I love the take on the Riddler. I love the little Easter egg of the Court of Owls, if that is in fact an Easter egg. That's interesting because we haven't gotten that yet. And
Catwoman looks sick.
She looks really good.
Yeah.
And the other gripe that John Campea had was the scene where the same scene where he's pummeling that guy, where he says, "I am vengeance," because we're all anticipating that he's going to say, "I'm Batman," right? That didn't really bother me. Like his argument was like, oh, like certain things don't carry over well from the comics to live action. So like, yes, it's a line from the animated series, or part of the line from the animated series. Yeah. And then, when you bring that into live action, sometimes it doesn't work in the same way. But I found it to be great. I didn't have any issues with it at all. Like,
I had so my only real gripe, aside from like the ears, was I didn't like his voice as Batman. But
I didn't have a problem with his voice.
Yeah, I know I'm the minority on that one.
Like his Batman voice, or his like old yeah, I didn't. I mean, it's a step up from what we got with Bale.
Agreed. So. Agreed. Like, as long as it's not like I'm Batman sort of like style. Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It felt like a little bit like a kid. It felt like a kid trying to act tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I do recognize that is probably just my gripe, because like I just want someone who sounds like Kevin Conroy. That's all I want. So like that's probably why I have
spoiled,
like two.
Bro.
I know exactly. So, look, that's why I'm like, these are very, 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 very small so like nitpicks. So like, anyway, Darcy, your thoughts.
So I'm putting some notes down, and I forgot one, and I'm like dying right now. I'm like, what's that note that I wanted to get at? And hopefully I'll remember on my way through. So I'm gonna go back on some stuff. So the voice, no problem with it. My theory is, I remember what the other thing was. Court of Owls. We're going to get to that. Okay, so the voice, no problem with it. And I have a theory with the hair and the voice. So like Tactix was saying, we were talking about the fact that it's a year and a half in. My theory is that everything's going to evolve. His voice is going to evolve. His hair is going to evolve. And I think that's going to evolve because he has yet to figure out why Bruce Wayne needs to be Bruce Wayne and why he has to create that persona. Because he's right now figuring out I think he's going to be developing who he is as a Batman. He's overly aggressive, doesn't have that control. And as he progresses, he's going to have some lesson to some consequence to realize something. And he's going to split the personalities and then keep Bruce Wayne a certain way, specifically just realize he has to be that way. Right now, I think he's just so full of anger and aggression. Things aren't probably going quite his way, year and a half in. Supervillains are starting to pop up now as a reaction to him. And he's probably just like a little bit more irritated in the way he's dealing with stuff than he will be when he becomes the Batman, the full version of the Batman that we know and love. So that's my general theory. Okay.
Yeah.
What I wrote speed. I don't even remember why I wrote the word speed. But oh yeah, thank you. So I love the fact that we're getting a faster, more agile Batman.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that because it's something that we always lack, and Batman's fights are always supposed to be like ridiculous, even like unless you do like the one that Ben Affleck portrayed, which is legit, like that he was supposed to portray the Batman that was older and slower, and like every hit was supposed to like take you out. But a lot of times I feel like I'm always a little underwhelmed with other Batmans because I want the fighting to just be more badass. Like you'll see the cartoon, like the animated movie, and then you see the live action movie, and you're like. Right, like in terms of like the fights, they're like not quite the same, right?
Well, now as a kid, you ate that shit up, man. Admit it.
I know you eat it up.
Yeah, because that's the only thing we had at that time. But going back.
I agree, but as a kid, even growing up, I always felt like I wanted a little bit more, but I accepted it. And I'm like, but I always wanted more. Like I always wanted a little bit more because once I've seen the difference, I'm like, but I always kind of go into it going like, oh, I'm finally gonna get that Batman that does this, and then I almost is there. I'm like, all right, that was great, but I always kind of go in with a little bit higher expectation. So, here's the thing that I really, really, really love about this. So Matt Reeves is clearly a fan of the comics. We all know this. And he's deep with it. And the thing that I love is that this felt like Umar, you're saying like 7 and stuff like that. But to me, it had the one thing I loved about Tim Burton in this franchise that his movies he's building is the world. Something I loved about Tim Burton was that the shots gave me more experience of what Gotham was supposed to be. It wasn't a very realistic world, but I always felt like a lot of these newer films, they do these close shots, right? Nice and tight all the time. And you see the character, but like I'm leaning into the camera, right? But you ignore the world. You don't care so much about the world that they physically are in. Whereas, when you get to see like more and everything's like framed more and you see more of what's around them, you get a sense of like the physical world that they live in and the people in that world. And I just felt like when I saw the trailer alone, I was getting a real like grounded sense of what this world that they are building is, that it's real. And, it's just like, I just love that fact. It's a small thing, but I feel like it's a thing that goes a long way to making it feel very, very deep and grounded. And my last thing, circling back to the Court of Owls, is that I heard, and my theory is that the Court of Owls is going to be the big bad in the third film, and that every film is built, every layer in all the films is that. It's like everything's hinting at it. So we're getting hints in every film that's going to be like at the end, Court of Owls has been manipulating everything, kind of a deal.
I can see that. Either that or they're like kind of the big bad of the second one, which will then kind of leave it open for, I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree with that.
I accept either of those.
To go back to what you were saying, Darcy, about like Matt Reeves being a big fan of the comics, like I was worried, I should stop being worried with Matt Reeves, but I was worried that they were going to focus too much on the New 52. Like don't get me wrong, I loved Court of Owls, the comic. I hated the animated movie, but I love the comic. And if they brought that in, if Matt Reeves is bringing that in, I'm happy with that. Also, the fact that he's doing like the detective story, and that is what I have wanted for the longest time. And the fact that we're doing it, and we're doing it like a 7 movie, makes it that much like I know we're saying it like 7. It could be very different, but for right now, that's what the feel of it is, and I adore that. But also, what I'm really happy is that he's drawing. Like a lot of people thought this would be like Batman Year 1 or the Batman Year 2 comic. I'm really glad that we're not doing an origin thing. Like it sounds like it's going to be more of an origin for the villains than for anyone else. But like Batman's already like established, but not entirely secure. Like he's still enough of a who are you sort of thing. But also the same thing, like you're saying, Tactix. Like he's not in control. He's not what we are used to as like a solidified Batman. And Batman Year 2 is basically him going after Joe Chill and also having to deal with this another vigilante, but he's the one who kills people. And I was like, oh, I really hope that's not like what they're drawing on, because that's also not really something I want to see. But it turns out they're using a comic called Batman Ego. And it goes, and I'm so happy you said this, Tactix, because what you were saying about him having to like figure out how he's going to be Batman and how like he loses control and how he needs to find his like the balance between Bruce Wayne and Batman, and you can see that by the way he does his hair. And incidentally, just a side note, I love the fact that they actually showed the mascara around his eyes. The fact that he's doing like a realistic Batman, like, and his hair is also messy because he's on like he's wearing the mask and he's on a motorbike, so obviously it's not going to be prim and proper. But when he's Bruce Wayne, it's like a Playboy style. I'm like, okay, awesome. But Batman Ego, the story, it was basically Batman has a fracture in his mind because he feels guilt about being Batman from a Bruce Wayne perspective, but also from a Batman perspective, he feels that Bruce Wayne is holding him back. So like the two of them kind of like, it's almost like a split of the mind. And I think it was Batman, the persona, who was like, how about we just split it up? Like, let's be like Two-Face. You'll be Bruce Wayne. I'll take over after that. You don't have to feel guilty or like the weight of everything. But in the end, they come to the decision that it's like, no, Batman and Bruce Wayne need to happen. Bruce Wayne will feel the weight of it. Batman will do the hard work. But the thing is, you can never kill. And both of them come to an understanding by the end of that comic. And that is the Batman that we have from now on. Like, he does feel the weight. He does feel the guilt. He does feel the seriousness of what he's doing. But also, he has to continue the justice. He has to continue the vengeance. It's a part of him. The violence is a part of him because that's the pain that is driving him. That's the monster, but the monster will never cross the line. And that is the only way that his mind is able to stay sane.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's how Matt Reeves is going to portray Robert Pattinson, and if that's what he's struggling with, while at the same time he's trying to like crack this, the crime of the Riddler, which will also lead back to his family with the Court of Owls, and also you said it. It's the fact that like villains are starting to crop up because of his presence. Yo, that I'm like.
So two things. One, I'm just looking around for my wallet because they can take my money now. And two,
Yeah.
Umar is over here getting his own Batman voice on. He's talking so damn long. He's like, I
am Umar.
Okay, so my question is, do you guys think that Joker is going to show up in this universe, or have we seen enough of the Joker in other iterations that they're probably just going to go in a different angle? Like Court of Owls, I know is going to be a big factor in this trilogy or however many they decide to do, but do you think we're going to get another Joker, and or do you want to see a Joker like Matt Reeves' version of the Joker?
I do, and I want the third film, and I want it to be almost a surprise.
I do. I want it to be. See, I either want it to be like him, because the thing is, the Joker was only supposed to be like the beginning of the villain in The Dark Knight, and then like The Dark Knight Rises was supposed to be like him like full flush, but unfortunately with the death of Heath Ledger, they had to redo that. For me, if they can do a Joker for the third movie and do the Court of Owls in the second movie, and basically the comic is the Batman the man who laughs. It's a graphic novel that like basically is like the first time Batman comes across the Joker, and he is completely overwhelmed with the madness of this individual, but he's trying to solve it like a logical individual, and he's trying to figure out what the Joker's plan is until like he almost he does figure it out in time. Spoiler warning. But the thing is, like, a lot of death took place in it. If that's the Joker we can get, and Matt Reeves is doing it, I am all the way for it. However, given what we got with what we were talking about with Joaquin Phoenix and his movie, and also what we got with Suicide Squad and Jared Leto, I'm okay with them not doing the Joker this time around. However, if that's the case, they need to bring up some other Batman villains, aka Black Mask, but they've already done that in like Birds of Prey.
Oh, it's a different universe, so like we can do.
No, I know, but like I'm trying to think of like a Batman villain that, because like I like how they're doing Penguin. We haven't seen Penguin in a long time. I am glad with Catwoman. Yes, we saw her most recently. Penguin and Catwoman are a good opening act. I'm trying to think what should be.
It seems like they're staying more grounded in this universe. So
Yeah.
I don't know how fantastical they're gonna go with it in terms of like, do metahumans even exist in this universe, kind of thing, or
I almost hope that they don't.
So you wanna keep it as grounded as possible, like similar to like the Nolan films, then.
Yeah, but like I would say that I don't want a Mr. Freeze. I don't want hell, I don't even want a Bane. Give me like a really screwed up Scarecrow, where he's like, or the Mad Hatter. Give us the Mad Hatter or Zaz.
Also, I think it would be interesting. So one, I wanted them to have a lot of villains. Like I don't necessarily need every movie to have like a quota of 4 villains or something like that. But I like this vibe where it doesn't feel like it's like just one villain, unless that one villain is like amazing. But I also kind of want other villains to play like some kind of small role where they're just like keeping it busy, but they're like less. One I think would be really good though would be Toyman.
That's a Superman villain.
Oh yeah, damn it. One though I really want though is and I know this is going the supernatural, but there's something about the character that just makes me want Batman to have to face the person, but like it just has to be done really, really well. Is Poison Ivy.
That I would be down with, because Poison Ivy and Hugo Strange would actually be a really interesting choices, and also Court of Owls. Like if we, because those are well, Poison Ivy. Like if you just take away the fact that she's like living poison, and also can control plants. Yeah, that can be like a truly like an eco terrorist taken to the max.
Yeah, but I kind of still want the like controlling plants, but done in some kind of way that grounds it, yet still is supernatural, but like not as extreme, right? As it's been. I don't know. There's something just about that I like, but I know by all means we're not talking in all the like whatever that movie era was, the one that was this I can't even want to say anything. Batman and Robin, like like
I will say like I'm good with like her, like I don't know, like coming up with like a plant-based poisons and stuff like that, where she also uses like that's her main thing. I'm okay with her just like throwing like poison plants all over the place and stuff like that. But anyway, we're getting off topic. For me, I would say that like as long as they continue to do it this way, where all his villains require him to be a detective, and also that like it's conspiracy based. Like you were saying, you like multiple villains. Like look at the Dark Knight. We had now, granted, I think that I forgot about Two-Face.
True. Two-Face is just always a good one, especially after what we got with the Dark Knight. Like that could go really, really well. Also, oh my god, I just forgot it. As you're saying Two-Face, fuck. All right, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, like I would like to see a Two-Face this time that isn't like just angry, but someone who's actually having a dissociative mental disorder where they have no choice but to flip that coin, and they can't literally make a decision without it. Like if we have that kind of like psychological aspects to it, that would be fascinating. And him being someone who just like almost like what we had in the animated series, where he just was a guy who wanted to like get things done and couldn't, and then got his face blown off. That would be sick. But anyway, like I am very pleased with the fact that we're getting a trilogy. I'm very pleased that Matt Reeves is like he's taking it seriously, and even with just 25% of the film of like shot, I'm a believer.
One that I think that's kind of an obvious one that people might want would be like the Hush storyline to play out. But I'm a little like cautious on that because I feel like it's like or a variation on. I'm a little like cautious on that idea.
I would say that Hush I would be fine with if they have enough of a story base. And to be honest, I would want to keep this world separate from the rest of the DCEU.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. If we do the Joker, I actually kind of want Harley Quinn to show up, though, like a different variation. Because ever since thinking with the idea of the Harley Quinn that was supposed to be in the third Christopher Nolan film, like I want to see something that's a Harley Quinn that's more dark and deranged, less like you get hints of that, like her funness, but like it's not her. She's not all fun all day long, like the way she is in other stuff. Yeah. Like something that's just like a little more twisted. She's in a more twisted state.
How about you, T?
In terms of who I would like want to see show up is, I agree with you, Umar. I think I would want to see a scarecrow, like not to say done right, because I didn't mind the Christopher Nolan version, but I just think playing off of that aspect of fear would really make for an interesting movie. Like if he was the main villain and not just kind of a sidekick or like a lackey for the main villain kind of thing. Because I was watching, I hadn't played the game, but I watched all the cut scenes or whatever from the actual Arkham Knight game, and that whole concept of Scarecrow I found really fascinating, and like it just kind of reminded me of the animated series, and I was like, we haven't really seen Scarecrow on that level. Outside of anything else. So I would love to see it, especially in this iteration of Batman. I feel like that would still be grounded to some degree, and we could really play up the whole fear aspect.
Yeah, like he's supposed to be a professor who went crazy. So like Gotham University, like a whole bunch of students are getting killed and like really in messed up ways. That would be really interesting. Oh, I see. The thing is that's why I don't want like a Mr. Freeze. I don't want a Man Bat. I don't want the...
I hate Man Bat.
Yeah, so like I kind of want to keep I want to keep it. So by the way, what do you want in terms of the Joker question?
I really do want to see a Joker in this version, because if this is the level that they're bringing to the Riddler in comparison, well, we don't really know much about Penguin, but in turn, like we've got a kind of like the tone that they're bringing to the Riddler, and if this is what we're getting from the Riddler in comparison to Jim Carrey's version, then I can only imagine what they would have like conjured up for the Joker, who's like beyond what we've seen from the Riddler in this trailer so far. So, I mean, just a guy that's completely off his rails, the ultimate challenge for Batman in the sense that he can't predict this guy, and like no matter how smart he is, it's like it takes a lot of work for him to kind of like, you know, defeat this guy. So I would love to see, and if they do it rated R too, like if I don't know what the rating is for this, if they're gonna stick to PG-13 or if they're gonna do rated R, but if they do
rated R, I want rated R.
I think they're gonna do rated R because like you can see the Riddler, like he actually like slams down something. So like I hope they do it rated R.
Yeah, but then they could always cut that, right? True. So but yeah, I definitely would love a rated R because I would want to see like a sadistic Saw type for Joker. Like where he plays almost like a Jigsaw type of. I mean, the Riddler would have been a good like Jigsaw almost, you know what I mean? But I want them to really take it there and make it like this. This is not a movie for kids. This is for the fans, like the people that actually legit grew up on Batman. I want it to cater to them. I don't want none of this like teeny bopper. Oh, we want to try and sell toys. Yo, fuck the toys. Give us what we want as fans, and deliver that fan service and make an epic, dark, graphic novel type of film that we can all enjoy and that has good story to the point where people are like, they forget that it's based off of a comic book and they enjoy it as an actual film, kind of like the Joker, where it's like you're watching that and you're like, okay, if a person didn't know that this was associated with the Batman and just saw it based off of like just going in with no prior knowledge, they can enjoy it and be like, wow, that was an amazing film. That was so dark. And then, you know, later on find out, oh, it's based off of Batman. No way, right? Kind of thing, right? So that's kind of the direction that I'm hoping that they take with this, in the sense where, like, again, staying very grounded, not as much as I like Mr. Freeze as a villain, doesn't work. I don't feel like he would work in this universe, especially if they're trying to stay very grounded. I mean, look at the Batmobile, for example. It's a muscle car.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about the look of it, and I know it will evolve, but I don't think they're going to go so far extreme that they make it look like that sexy Batman 89 Batmobile, which that's my favorite Batmobile of all time, but I don't think they're going to take it quite to that level. But you can just see based on the tone and what we've seen that they're trying to stay as grounded, similar to how Christopher Nolan did it, but with more dark undertones, I feel.
Last question before we sign off. What did you guys think of no, not what you guys think. How did you guys react physically, if you can remember, when you saw Batman beat the hell out of that dude?
I rewinded that at least 10 times, bro, because I was like, because usually the number one complaint with all actors that have played Batman in the past across the board has been, the suit is very restricting, right? But as Darcy was saying earlier, like the speed that he showcases in that scene where he's so fast and agile, it's like like I almost don't expect that, because it's like part of the issue with Michael Keaton's Batman in the sense of why the choreography was so shit is one, what's his name? Tim Burton. He's not a stunt choreographer, nor a fight choreographer, so he doesn't really know how to do that shit. And two, the bat suit was so limiting. Like he couldn't turn. That's where the whole back turn neck thing came from, right? So, but in this one, it seems like he's a lot more functional. There's a lot more speed there, and the fact that they stuck on it for one shot. And it's like, and the way they shot it and the closeness of it, it's like I when he made the first blow, I actually legit like went back. I was like, oh, because you feel the impact and the sound of each hit. And then when the guy goes out of frame and you just see Batman just beating the shit out of this guy, but you only see Batman, you don't see the guy, and you just hear the bolt, like his skull pretty much breaking. You're like, that guy's got to be like close to dead. Like, so it's like, I love that scene. Like that right there. Like I was already well invested in the trailer when I saw it, but that scene alone, I was like, fuck a Twilight. I don't care, man. Like I am in, man. And like I've already reserved my judgment because I had the same reaction initially with Heath Ledger's Joker, where I was like, oh, the Brokeback Mountain guy, really?
Yeah.
But then obviously, you know, we all know, like, you know, you'd be hard pressed to find a person who didn't like that version of the Joker, right? So yeah, I loved it, man. I think Robert Pattinson is going to really deliver on this role. I don't even care that he's not trying to work out all that much. You know, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm in.
Darcy, how did you react to that scene?
I was fucking loving it. I was in. But by the way, sorry, totally random. I was like looking stuff up, and I have to throw this out here. Another person for a small character in a future film to show how messed up the world is could be really interesting. Would be Professor Pig.
I guess.
I just feel like in this dark world. I mean, like as like one of those sideline things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also thinking, do I want Robins? Do I want that stuff in this universe? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I love that fight. I love that battle. That went down. Well, not much of a battle because one guy got his ass whooped. But you know, yeah, it's just everything I want it to be in terms of like the speed of the fighting and the intensity that it is. Yeah, I love it.
Like for me, like when I was watching the trailer, I was like getting closer and closer to the screen as I was watching, because I was like, I want to see more. I want to see everything clearer, and like the music was just like the way Kurt Cobain was like, I was like, I could feel the way I was getting more and more involved, and also like then you see all the action sequences and you hear Colin Farrell, I'm like, oh, this guy's crazy, and then all this is that. And then the next thing you see, it's like, who are you supposed to be? And then I'm like, oh well, here we go now. Oh shit, Jesus Christ! And I was like,
it's like a multi-car pileup that you're just like, you're just like,
and then I was like, wait, is he supposed to be doing all that? And then he's like, I'm vengeance, and I'm like, so I think that is why I have such a disappointment with the voice. Everything in that trailer was making me go like this, and that point especially when he's like beating him down, and I'm like, and then it's like, I'm vengeance, or like I'm vengeance, and I'm like,
I love that line. Didn't bother me one bit.
I had no issues with it. I was like, he's gonna say I'm Batman, and then he's like, I'm vengeance. I'm like, oh, nice touch. You totally sidelined me. I did not know you were gonna go that direction, but okay, I'm with it. I am with it, man. And yo, if you watch that scene again, and then they but they cut to the reaction of the other gang members, and the look of horror on their face just was like, oh, it was like icing on the cake. I was like, yeah. Bitch, who you gonna say something else? Nah, y'all gonna stay quiet.
And like about the agile thing, like you see the Catwoman briefly, like just trying to like get away from him and like throw kicks and stuff, and he's like dodging all of that. I'm like, yo, Michael Keaton, hell, even Christian Bale, he was like just doing this with his head the whole time to defend himself.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm excited.
The Batman.
I'm excited.
Do we have an actual release date for this, or just 20?
No, it's 2021.
Yeah,
I love the touch of the question marks, though.
I know. That was a sweet touch.
Yeah. Don't rush it. You know, if they need an extra month, give them the extra month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man! I want that to be perfect.
Yeah, I don't want nothing rushed.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes today's episode of the Geeky Bros podcast. Man, I'm still buzzing off of that conversation with the Batman. I'm sorry. Right? That it's golden for me, man. I'm super excited for this movie. I can't wait. I think this is going to be DC's year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know, they finally got their footing in, right? And, you know, I think they're really going to deliver. I mean, it's going to be a big year for superhero movies in general. Like, it's going to be COVID was kind of like a bittersweet blessing in disguise, in a sense.
Yeah.
It pushed a lot of things back, and now, like I said, we're going to be in the movie theater every other week, it seems. So I'm excited for it. I'm ready. I'm I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
But, I guess we're going to sign off now because we are out of time. So I'm your boy Tactix.
It's your boy Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Like and subscribe, and I'm going to go watch the Batman trailer again.
Same.